You shouldn't do that. You should never do that. You should never do that. Okay? Can you give me your opinion about the meaning of the dating system in Persona 3 or 4? If the main character Anne died or leaving town, and I don't understand your question, man. But I'm guessing you're trying to ask if it's if there's any meaning to the dating sims. It's just a gameplay mechanic, and it's part of the main story itself, because by dating or by hanging out with your friends, I mean, you increase their bonds, and when you increase their bonds, you get you increase the rank level of the personas that you can fuse or acquire in battle. And the Cathedral of Shadows. Well, actually, it's called the Velvet Room in the Persona games, right? So it does have a lot of meaning. It's one of the very few examples where the dating sim is actually forced on you. I mean, you have to do it, right? Whether you like it or not. So if you're not into that, forget about the Persona series. What direction do you want your favorite JRPG to go? My favorite JRPG is Chrono Cross, so all I want is a new game in the series that can satisfy both Trigger and Cross fans. And probably I think it's best to get a Chrono Trigger 2. I would love a Chrono Cross sequel for consoles, not that fucking mobile game, another Eden or whatever. I mean, come on, man, don't give us that. Give us a proper Cross sequel and a Trigger sequel. I'd love for the Chrono series to come back to make a proper revival on consoles. Like I said, I'd love to get a Cross sequel, but I think fans want more a Trigger sequel, and it will be better. Well, I think the best outcome will be to get like a third game in the series that ties everything together. But man, like Trigger and Cross fans, they fight each other and hate each other to death, right? And insult each other. Well, guess what, people? You are allowed to like both games. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, right? You can like both games. How's that? Did you try Omori? No, I've been seeing it on Switch. I got a physical on Switch, and it's kind of expensive. And I've been seeing it. I've been trying to keep my eye on it. I've been keeping track of it. But I'm not sure I'm gonna like it. I mean, it seems like heavily inspired by Earthbound and all those games, and I'm not really into those. But that mature rating has got me intrigued, so maybe, yeah. We'll see. The woke dubbers are now gonna be replaced by AI translators from Japan. Yeah. What do you mean by political train? That everything is politicized nowadays. That, yeah, they give preference to the social elite nowadays. And I've said this before, how the military used well, I don't know how the story goes, but I saw it in Malcolm in the Middle. There's this episode where, how the big brother, the elder brother, is in the military school, and all of a sudden this new guy joins the school, and he's an asshole and nobody likes him. But then, the sergeant, the drill sergeant, notices that they kind of have a problem with this guy. So the drill sergeant starts giving him preference, special treatment, in order for everybody else to get jealous. Like, he starts, treating this guy, giving him preference, like I said. And the rest of the soldiers are like, man, and instead of realizing what's going on and blaming the sergeant, they start blaming the guy. So what I'm trying to say is that this drill sergeant created this social division between these guys and this particular individual who is getting special treatment, right? And now everybody's mad, right? And that's what's happening nowadays, right? With woke people, people of color, gay people, that's what's happening, right? All the government and all the entertainment business, pretty much the powerful people are giving these people preference, special treatment, and everybody else is like... That's what's happening nowadays, and that's what I mean by political train. Where will you rank the SMT4 soundtrack compared to other SMT and Persona games? Man, you just had to ask, didn't you? I mean, SMT4, along with its sequel, Apocalypse, that's my favorite SMT soundtrack of all time. I like it way more than Nocturne, way more than 5, way more than Devil Survivor, believe it or not, and way more than any Persona soundtrack. So, that's my number one. You know, and a fucking robot demonetized my mature hidden gems video. And when I asked about it to a human being, they were like, no, I don't know what happened there. Can you tell me, please, what's wrong with my video so I can edit it, do some edits to it, or cut the offensive and inappropriate content off? You know, no, it cannot be undone. So, I don't know, man. AI... Yeah, what's your experience with Yakuza? Infinite Wealth is coming up. Ooh, man. So Infinite Wealth is a direct sequel, from what I've heard, of Like a Dragon. Definitely want to continue the adventures of Ichiban Kasuga. That was his name, right? Ichiban Kasuga. What a moron, that game. I love that fucking guy. If you decide to play on Steam, what's the first you'd play? Probably anything exclusive to it. I wouldn't bother with games that are already on consoles. I will probably go after the exclusives. Definitely. Especially some of those indies that I've seen that are exclusive to Steam. Some of those strategy RPGs that look badass, man. Inspired by Fire Emblem and whatnot, man. And they're exclusive on Steam. I will go after those first and foremost. Thanks for the donation. Could you give a quick trip down memory lane for the Shining Force 1 and 2 games on the Genesis, since it is now accessible for others on the Genesis Mini? I have news for you. Those two games have been accessible for everyone since the PlayStation 2 era. In the PlayStation 2, there was a release called the Sega Genesis Collection, and it included those two games. And then that very same collection was released with some differences here and there, and with different names, on the PS3, on the PSP, on the Switch, on the PS4, on Steam. Was there one for the Xbox 360? I don't remember. But anyways, oh, yeah. They aren't just on the Genesis Mini, dude. Anyway, so iconic RPGs, you know, I've covered those games several times. I didn't get to play them growing up. In fact, you know, when I first played Final Fantasy Tactics was my first strategy RPG. I was like 20 years old and I didn't like it. I didn't get into strategy RPGs until I played Eternal Poison. So I got pretty late into Shining Force 1 and 2. So it will be pretty hard for me to go down, to make a quick trip down memory lane for those games, because I didn't play them growing up. I think I played the first Shining Force. I played the Game Boy Advance remaster. That was my first encounter with the Shining Force original games. And that was about 8 years ago, or yeah, probably 7, 8 years ago, right? So, of course I became a die-hard fan. I love the fucking game. And years later I got the sequel on one of those Sega Genesis collection. I loved it. I think they are very important games. I think they should be brought back, not in collections and such, or Genesis Minis. They should be like some kind of remaster for modern systems. It's one of the most iconic Sega IPs, right? We got Sonic, we got several other Sega original IPs, but Shining Force and Phantasy Star are like the two of the most influential JRPG series of all time. Phantasy Star 1, Shining Force, one of the most influential strategy RPGs ever made. Not sure why Sega did what they did. Refer to my What the Hell Happened to the Shining series video, and you'll see why Sega are a bunch of fucking idiots. Man, seriously. With some series. As developers, they're great, but yeah, when it comes to making marketing decisions and stuff like that, Jesus Christ. Do you think Fire Emblem do you think Fire Emblem will move away from gacha after Engage? move out away? Like, you mean like shut down Fire Emblem Heroes? Who knows, right? Who knows? It seems like the big companies are interested a lot in doing gacha games and free-to-play games more than anything. We've seen a couple. I'm kind of afraid. We've seen Genshin Impact and Honkai Rail Star, I think that's the name, and those were very successful games, so I fear we may start seeing more actually. And not for phones, for consoles. Like, companies are gonna go that way. Big companies, probably Final Fantasy 17 is gonna be a free-to-play game. The next Fire Emblem, and so on. I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, I wouldn't be surprised. That seems to be the future of gaming nowadays. Because, let's face it, nobody wants to pay for anything anymore. Some games still sell millions of copies, that's for sure. But a lot of companies are struggling with money, and they'd rather make money that way. Let you play their games for free, but then sell you little stuff like characters, or outfits, or DLCs, or power-ups, levels, etc. Right? Who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows what's gonna be the future of gaming? I also think there's a lot of companies that don't want to go down that road. They want to stick to console games. They want to make the big releases regular offline player games, So who knows what'll happen? But I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing some releases from the big companies that are free to play or gacha games. Ark the Lad died as a phone game. Valkyrie Profile died as a phone game. Yeah, pretty much. Well, we shouldn't say they're dead, They are dormant. Come on, don't break my heart. I'm still hoping one day we'll see a proper Valkyrie Profile comeback. Valkyrie Profile 3 after 15 years. No, it's been more. It's been, 17 years since the last one. Since the last main title. Okay, we got Covenant of the Plume, but that was a bit of a spin-off in 2010, I think. Yeah. So, and then Anatomia, right? For mobile, which was supposed to be a prequel. Damn. I'm just kidding, man. Don't apologize. Yeah, but Valkyrie Profile, that's a conversation. That's a conversation, man. Right? It seems to me that, I think so, it's just... I don't mean to shit on Square-Enix like I always do. But it seems to me that some companies just have no clue what to do with some franchises, and they just refuse to listen to the fans. It's like they don't care. They know, man. Square Enix knows. They aren't that stupid. They're stupid, but not that stupid. They are aware fans have been begging for Valkyrie Profile 3 since 10,000 years ago, and they just don't give a fuck. They've proven it. Okay, Silmeria was out, it was successful. And then we got Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Plume. A spin-off, strategy RPG, exclusive to the Nintendo DS, stupidly unbalanced, lots of technical problems and balancing issues. And we were like, fine, so where's the third game? It didn't happen. And then many years later, a mobile game. And then many years later, Elysium. Yeah. Since there are no more questions right now, let's do a recap of my entire year. Although it's mostly negative things. No, never mind. Keep asking your questions. Now, I was gonna say that it wasn't a great year for me. I moved to a different house, and it was supposed to be like a fresh, not exactly a fresh start, but it was supposed to be like I'm a level up, right? Like I'm on a different. I leveled up, and I remember when I came here, everything seemed like it was going to be all right, but then first and foremost, the US dollar went down. Inflation destroyed the economy of almost the entire world, and it fucked up people, destroyed careers, destroyed lives. It got worse. and it went down bad, man. You know, because I remember last year, 2022, it was still kind of holding up the US dollar. And why am I mentioning the US dollar? Because Google is a US company, okay? And they pay everybody and their moms in US dollars. All YouTubers, they make a transfer. Of course, they convert the US currency to your country's currency, in this case to Mexican currency, to Mexican pesos. So imagine $10, for example, last year they were 20 Mexican pesos, and nowadays they are 17 Mexican pesos. So it went down 3 Mexican pesos. So imagine, horrible. And it stayed that way. I think I remember in January of 2023 it stayed kind of a little bit strong, but that was just like the decline. And I think it was in April when it finally dropped, in March when it dropped considerably, and we were like, oh my god, I hope this is temporary. Well, it wasn't temporary. It's been that way the entire year. So of course, imagine, you know, it fucked me over. And then what else happened? Well, the politicization is only getting stronger. This woke stuff, you know, it's only getting stronger and stronger each year, and it's already taking over the world. And people who speak, most people are afraid to speak against it nowadays. Not me. Maybe I should be, but I don't. And people like me, you know, what did the website do to them? They start messing up with our algorithms. They start shadow banning us. They start demonetizing certain videos for no reason. And not only that, you know, on the other hand, censorship is also way stronger than before, and it's greatly affecting content creators, greatly affecting everything in the industry, but especially here. I mean, you can still see a lot of uncensored stuff on Netflix, Amazon Prime, those services, right? But YouTube is becoming like the king of censorship. And this year, it just fucked me over with several videos, you know, when it used to be like, that one video every now and then, you know, they shadow ban it and that's it. But this year, man, wow, it's like, fuck. And it just got 10 times worse. I mean, it was bad last year, or it was just ridiculously terrible this year. YouTube and the censorship policies, you know, it just fucked me over, man. And well, as you may have seen, I didn't reach 100,000 subscribers because primarily it just occurred to YouTube that it would be a good idea to start purging subscribers. To start, number one, deleting inactive accounts for only 2 years. Wow, 2 years? So if you haven't logged into your Gmail account in 2 years, it's gone forever, and that subscriber is gone forever too. So yeah, they decided to do some kind of purge on May 20 this year, and people, not just me, everybody started getting less subscribers and losing a lot of subscribers for no reason. I remember in May I was pretty scared. I was like, man, what's going on? I'm losing a shit ton of subscribers. And I was like, it's probably, you know, another YouTuber went out and slandered me or something, or said some bad things about it. No, nobody said anything, you know, and I looked into it and I eventually found that out. That YouTube, you know, had decided to start deleting all of these accounts. Inactive accounts, spam accounts, fake accounts, etc., right? And they didn't do like a full 100% purge. Thankfully, they didn't do that, because otherwise everybody would have lost like 20,000 subscribers overnight. That didn't happen. What we started seeing since May, I saw a decline. And what else? And well, I saved the worst for last. As you may already know, my mom almost died. She was hospitalized on May. That was the worst fucking month for me of probably my whole life. She was hospitalized, severe pancreatitis, pretty bad. Doctors were like, you know, there's not a lot of hope. Start saying goodbye. And it was pretty hard for us, as you can imagine, but she got out. But then like a month later, she was hospitalized again, and this time it was really fucking bad. And miraculously she made it. She got out of it on the end of July, and she seems fine now, still recovering. And hopefully next year will be better for her and for us as a family. But yeah, that was pretty hardcore. If you go through something like that with a family member, I wish you the best. I now know what it feels like. It's horrible, and I don't wish that to happen to anybody. But yeah, we're gonna die at some point. My mom didn't die, thankfully. So she made it, and that was the best fucking thing that happened to me this year. Because my uncle died. Man, he visited my mom in the hospital and he seemed fine. Nothing was wrong with him. So my mom recovered, and by September, one day he paid a visit to her, and I was there with his wife, and they seemed fine, but he was like complaining about some pain in his back. And then it was pretty bad, and it was like, okay, so there's something wrong with his back, right? Well, 2 weeks later, guess what? I mean, you have cancer. Fucking cancer, man. And 2 weeks later, he was dead. I don't know if any of you have gone through something like that with a family member with cancer, but that's just fucking horrible, man. I mean, my mom suffered through months and months in anguish and stress and worry for us, but she pulled through. But my uncle, all of a sudden, in less than a month, he was diagnosed with cancer and he was dead. And then it was just fucking horrible, man. If something happens to you, I'm so sorry. It's pretty bad. So, but my mom made it, and if there's one great thing that happened to me this year, was that she survived, and that she's fine at home, and that she made it. Anyway, so that's my year, everybody. Thank you for your best wishes, and thank you, Oscar. Thanks, man, for everything, for being here, for being a friend. Thanks a bunch. So yeah, hopefully next year will be better, and it won't be as fucked up as this one, but I'm keeping my expectations to a minimum.